Pittsburgh Trivia is a production of Warrior House Media.
Welcome to Pittsburgh Trivia with your host, Jim Cannon, where uncovering the crazy truth and trivia about Pittsburgh is just the beginning. And who knows, you may even learn a few things in the process. We know life can get pretty interesting around Pittsburgh. Speaking of interesting, did you know that?
Hi, welcome to Pittsburgh Trivia, the interactive trivia show where we test your knowledge about all things Pittsburgh and the surrounding region. I'm your host, Jim Cannon. Thank you for joining me. Now, typically, we focus on trivia about Pittsburgh. Well, we thought we'd change things up this time, and this episode is a bit of a departure from the usual format. So, instead of Pittsburgh, we'll be focused on the North Pole. That's right, we're giving you the gift of some fun Christmas trivia. And how fitting this is episode 25. Look, I didn't plan it that way. It was an audible doing a Christmas episode, but it's going to be fun for everybody. Just a helpful suggestion that if there's a lull in the quality family time over the holidays, fire up this episode and keep everyone engaged for a bit. And while the material is not the usual flavor, the structure will be. So, 2 rounds of 5 questions each, and one final question at the end. I'll read a question, pause, then read the next one. After reading the questions in that round, we'll go back and check the answers one by one. So sit back, grab an eggnog or a coffee, and let's see what you know about Christmas. You ready to get your jingle on? Let's go! Round 1, question 1. In Charles Dickens' 1843 story, A Christmas Carol, a number of ghosts appear to Ebenezer Scrooge. How many total ghosts show up? Question 2. In the original 1947 movie, Miracle on 34th Street, what real-life retail store is featured as the setting? And question 3, this is the freebie stocking stuffer question of the entire episode. What legendary actor from Indiana, Pennsylvania, played George Bailey in the movie It's a Wonderful Life? And question 4, and this is a multiple choice question. Which country started the tradition of putting up a Christmas tree? Was it England, Russia, or Germany? And the last question of the round, question 5, this is also a multiple choice. What is the highest grossing non-animated Christmas movie of all time? Is it The Santa Claus with Tim Allen, Home Alone, or Elf? All right, that does it for round 1 questions. Let's go back and unwrap those answers. Question 1. In Charles Dickens' 1843 story, A Christmas Carol, a number of ghosts appear to Ebenezer Scrooge. How many total ghosts show up? And the answer is 4. And those ghosts in order are Jacob Marley, Scrooge's dead business partner. He appears as a chilling, spectral figure bound by heavy chains, which represent his greed when he was alive. He warns Scrooge of his own potential dark fate if he doesn't change his ways, and he also warns him of the arrival of 3 more spirits. The Ghost of Christmas Past, this spirit, often depicted as a childlike figure with an aged face, takes Ebenezer Scrooge back to his childhood and shows him both happy and sad memories, and reminds him of the joy and love he once knew. And then there's the Ghost of Christmas Present, a jolly, giant figure crowned with holly. This spirit shows Scrooge how the other half still managed to celebrate even in the face of material poverty, like the Cratchit family. and he emphasizes empathy and compassion. And finally, it is the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, or the Ghost of Christmas Future, a tall, silent hooded figure resembling the generic image of death. This spirit shows Scrooge the terrible future awaiting him if he doesn't change his ways. So, total of 4 ghosts. And question 2. In the original 1947 movie Miracle on 34th Street, what real-life retail store is featured as the setting? That would be Macy's. The actual Macy's on 34th Street in Manhattan served as the main filming location for the original movie. And you might recall the movie also featured Gimbels, the now defunct chain, which was a main rival to Macy's at the time. Now there's a Pittsburgh connection there because Gimbels once had several store locations in Pittsburgh, including downtown and Century 3 Mall. Now, I mentioned the original movie because there was a remake in 1994, but Macy's declined to participate, meaning that film couldn't use their name. So the producers created a fictional store called Kohl's, and that's C-O-L-E-S. And the real-world Gimbels had already gone out of business by 1994, so another fictional chain called Shoppers Express took their place in the film. And number 3, like I said, this one was kind of a freebie. At least I hope so. What legendary actor from Indiana, Pennsylvania played George Bailey in the movie It's a Wonderful Life? That would be Jimmy Stewart. Though Stewart was an obvious choice to everyone involved in the film, his friend and fellow actor and fellow World War II vet Henry Fonda was briefly considered for the lead role of George Bailey. I think it still would have been a good film, but it would have been a totally different movie to watch. And question 4, it's a multiple choice question. Which country started the tradition of putting up a Christmas tree? Was it England, Russia, or Germany? The answer is Germany. The loose origins start with the Romans, who celebrated the winter solstice with a feast called Saturnalia in honor of Saturn, the god of agriculture. They marked the occasion by decorating houses and temples with evergreen branches. And in Northern Europe, the Druids used evergreen as a symbol of everlasting life, while the Vikings used mistletoe to honor their god of light. But Germany is usually credited with the tradition closest to what we know now. As early as the 1500s, Christians would bring decorated trees into their houses. The original Pilgrims, who were Puritans, actually tried to quash the whole tree thing because they saw it as unholy. In fact, in 1659, the General Court of Massachusetts enacted a law making any observance of December 25th a penal offense. People were fined for hanging decorations. But 2 things would ultimately crush that silliness. One was the huge influx of German and Irish immigrants to the U.S. in the 1800s, many of whom actually ended up in Pennsylvania. The other contributing factor was Queen Victoria. In 1846, the Queen and her German-born husband, Prince Albert, were sketched in the Illustrated London News standing with their children around a Christmas tree. Now, Victoria was very popular in Britain, and that popularity often carried over to the American East Coast. Unlike the previous royal family, Victoria was beloved by her subjects, and what was done at court immediately became kind of fashionable, not only in Britain, but also with fashion-conscious East Coast American society. So from that point on, the point that sketch appeared, Christmas trees became all the rage. And the last question, question 5, this was also a multiple choice question. What is the highest grossing non-animated Christmas movie of all time? Is it The Santa Claus with Tim Allen, Home Alone, or Elf? And the answer is Home Alone. Now again, highest grossing non-animated movie. And I read it that way for a reason. What is considered the highest grossing Christmas movie, meaning a full-length feature, is 2018's The Grinch, but that's actually an animation, so I suspect most of you out there likely would not have guessed that one. But here's some additional information on this question. In non-adjusted gross dollars, it's 2018's The Grinch at number 1 with a total take of $514 million. And that dethroned the previous record holder, 1990's Home Alone, which grossed $476 million. Again, that is the gross, not adjusted for inflation. Now, for you actuaries out there, if you do adjust for inflation, the record holder is Home Alone, with The Grinch in the number 2 slot. But either way you count it, it's those two movies. And I just know somebody out there wants to know the top 10, so per the website IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, the top 10 list is: we covered number 1 and number 2, The Grinch and Home Alone. Number 3 is Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Number 4 is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. That's the live-action one with Jim Carrey. Number 5 is 2009's animated A Christmas Carol, also featuring Jim Carrey. At number 6 is Polar Express, an animated work featuring Tom Hanks. Number 7 was an absolute shock to me. It's 2003's Love Actually with Hugh Grant. Number 8 is likely one that a lot of people would guess was at the top of the list, and that is Elf with Will Ferrell and James Caan. And number 9 was also kind of a surprise, or maybe I'm just out of the Christmas movie loop. It's a movie called The Holiday with Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz. And then rounding out the top 10 list is 1994's The Santa Claus with Tim Allen. So, yeah, very few of the actual classics in that list. You know, like Lethal Weapon and Die Hard. Yeah, I said it, and I'm not going to apologize. And that'll do it for round 1. So, was that movie question a surprise? I don't think I had any of the top 5 in mind before I started digging into it. So, I have to give myself a lump of coal for that question. But the good news is, we have 5 more. So, let's see if we can all go make the nice list. Round 2, question 1. In the 1934 song Winter Wonderland, the couple singing the song want to name the snowman they build in a meadow. What is the name they give the snowman? And question 2, this is a math question, and you'll need to crunch some numbers very quickly. How many gifts in total were given in the song The 12 Days of Christmas? And question 3, what Christmas decoration was originally made from silver? And question 4, this actor who had a 50-year film career and was best known for a 1931 monster movie provided the voice for the Grinch in the December 18, 1966 animated television special How the Grinch Stole Christmas. In the last question of this round, question 5. The Coca-Cola Company is almost entirely responsible for creating this Christmas figure, the version that is known globally and still used today. All right, we're going to go back and we're going to check the answers for round 2. Question 1. In the 1934 song Winter Wonderland, the couple singing the song want to name their snowman they build in a meadow. What is the name they give the snowman? That would be Parson Brown. You gotta hum the song. Interesting tidbit here, that song never mentions Christmas and is actually about marriage and romance during winter. The couple in the song build a snowman, or if you're gonna be exact, plan to build in the meadow and pretend it is Parson Brown, who asks them if they're married. The couple says they are not, but Parson Brown can wed them when he is in town. And the lyricist Richard Smith wrote the song while being treated for tuberculosis in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Because nothing says romantic winter tune like fighting off TB in Scranton. And question 2, this is a math question. How many gifts in total were given in the song The 12 Days of Christmas? The answer is 364. So you give a partridge in a pear tree. Then it's 2 turtle doves and a partridge, and on and on. I gotta tell you, that's a lot of gift receipts. And, thinking about the lyrics, going through this, that's also a lot of birds. Question 3. What Christmas decoration was originally made from silver? This should have been an easy one because you just think about the color. Tinsel. The word tinsel was originally a general term and was used for lightweight fabrics made with silk in both gold and silver thread to give it a metallic effect. And there was one fabric called tinseled satin, and the fabric was used by the elite for costumes, royal banners, flags, that kind of thing. Mary I of England wore a veil of tinseled fabric, or what was later shortened to tinsel, at her coronation in 1553. Then in Nuremberg, around 1610, people started using thin strands of silver to adorn things like sculptures. But silver tarnished really easily, so they began using strands of other shiny metals. And then people eventually used it on Christmas trees to help reflect the light from the candles on the branches. And tinsel went through an iteration of aluminum and copper, and by the early 20th century, tinsel in the US was primarily made out of lead. Yeah, you heard that, lead. Now that was banned in the 1960s, and today's tinsel, the super lightweight stuff that like sticks to your socks and the dog, that's made of either PVC or coated mylar. And question 4. This actor, who had a 50-year film career and was best known for a 1931 monster movie, provided the voice for the Grinch in the December 18th, 1966 animated television special, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And that was Boris Karloff, known for his appearance in Frankenstein. The last question, question 5. The Coca-Cola Company is almost entirely responsible for creating this Christmas figure, the version that is known globally and still used today. What is the figure? That would be Santa Claus. Prior to 1931, Santa Claus was not a uniform image and was portrayed as everything from a tall, gaunt sort of shepherd guy to a bishop and even a hunter. In fact, in 1862, Civil War cartoonist Thomas Nast depicted Santa in Harper's Weekly as an elf who supported the Union. He originally drew the Santa image with a tan jacket, but over the years, Nast eventually changed it to red. So the red coat on Santa was not based on the Coca-Cola color scheme. And the general image of Santa, the one Nast created, was used in advertising for Coca-Cola for many, many years. And then in 1931, an ad agency working for Coke commissioned illustrator Haddon Sundblom to depict a more wholesome and appealing St. Nick. For inspiration, Sundblom used Clement Clark Moore's 1822 poem, A Visit from St. Nicholas, commonly called "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," which features a description of St. Nick as a warm, friendly, pleasantly plump, and very human Santa. The image caught on everywhere, and that's the depiction of Santa Claus, used pretty much by everyone, everywhere today. Sundblom's illustrations appeared in all sorts of magazines and newspapers, and a lot of his original images are actually in museums around the world. That does it for round 2 of our special Christmas episode. That round had to have been better for most of you, right? Did any of you ever consider that math question with all the gifts? Like seriously, that would be a lot to accept. Where would you store all that? I mean, 12 pipers piping, like where are they going to sit for dinner? You know, it's those questions that keep me up at night and keep the world spinning. All right, are you ready to unwrap the final question? Let's look under the tree and keep humming along. It is time for the bonus question. Okay, this is a music question. You ready? What is the best-selling Christmas song ever? Take a few extra seconds to think this one over. The best-selling Christmas song ever. All right, let's get the answer. The best-selling Christmas song ever is, drum roll, and no, it's not Little Drummer Boy. It's White Christmas by Bing Crosby. Now, the obvious choice for modern day, I think for most of us, would be Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas, which seems to get played earlier and earlier and earlier every year. But while her song is very popular, it also hit that popularity thanks to streaming services in the digital age, and therefore hasn't sold as many copies. Now, Bing Crosby actually had to sell individual units of his song, and man, did he. White Christmas has sold over 50 million individual copies since its creation, whereas Mariah has sold somewhere around 20 million of her well-known, pretty much year-round Christmas song. So was that one a surprise? Like opening that big box and getting something unexpected? See, that's the magic of Christmas. And that is it for this special Christmas episode. Thanks for playing along. Hope you had fun, and I hope you have or had a wonderful Christmas holiday. We'll get back to questions about Pittsburgh on the next episode, so stay tuned. We'll see you next time.
Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas!